Disclaimer, we'd like to note before the start of this interview that the opinions about to be expressed by the guest on tonight's Gettin Salty Experience podcast are that of the guest and do not directly or necessarily reflect the views of the host of the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
Put the fucking fire out!
You're listening to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
Hello!
And hello, all you Gettin Salty fanatics. Welcome to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast. It's the one where we bring everything, guys, everything fire-related material to the kitchen table.
Fully encompassing.
Oh, fully encompassing. I love it. We're running a little late. I don't know who was. Somebody was late. Louie! I'm not.
I'm not going to tell you what I was doing.
I don't want to know what you were doing.
Wait.
This is a good family show. Is that what you were doing?
Salute, my friend.
That's how you doing. That's not what you
right
were
there,
doing.
baby.
And we got a good show tonight.
Yeah, get me one of those.
Drennan, the wife of John Drennan, who we lost in the line of duty, and our buddy, our pal, Roof. I don't know if he's your pal, but he's my pal, Chief Jay Jonas.
Yes.
Coming in hot. We're going to talk about Drennan, the man, the father, the husband, and then we're going to get into the fire a little bit with Chief Jay Jonas because he's all things fire. And then we're going to go back to Vina and see what she's doing after that. I know she's gone off in many directions. National. She's on the national stage now.
I know. She told me she was going to put a nightgown on and relax a little bit, but I told her, whoa, take it easy. We're not there yet. She's back there. She's
been around firemen, that's for sure. There's no doubt about that.
So this, she knows very well.
Small brains, big hearts. Let's talk about the membership really quick. It's doing really well. We gave you a little sample the other day. We did a Hagen, the living legend. A little history with Hagen. You get that kind of stuff with the membership and a whole bunch of other stuff here. We got a bunch of guys in here who are members.
Yes.
So,
Christy was looking to join. Hopefully she hooked up. I gave her some info. So
all right, Christy.
Hit that join button.
Hit it. All right, Gons, play the commercial quick. I want to get to our guests.
Yes, for sure. We're going to hit the New Jersey Fire.
Established in 1930 and under the current ownership since 1987, the New Jersey Fire Equipment Company handles a complete line of fire department equipment and supplies. Headquartered in Greenbrook, the company operates full 3M Scott service facilities in Ridgefield Park and Toms River, staffed by 10 fully authorized Scott certified technicians with a fleet of 6 fully equipped service vans. All New Jersey fire technicians and sales representatives are active or retired firefighters, officers or chief officers, career and volunteer. They understand the business and the importance of their work. New Jersey Fire has represented Scott since Earl Scott entered the SCBA business at the end of World War II. Among other leading manufacturers represented by New Jersey Fire are Globe and Firedex Turnout Gear, Mercedes Hose, Task Force Tips and Akron Brass, Hygenol, Fire Hooks, Arctic Compressors, MSA Carnes Helmets, ChemGuard Foam, Alkalite and Duo Safety Ladders, BA Face Shield Protectors, Truckman's Choice Saws, Grove's Gear Racks and Washer Dryers, Supervac Fans, RPI, Streamlight, and many others. A New Jersey incorporated and based company, sales and service are limited to the state of New Jersey. Find us now at www.njfe.com. That's www.njfe.com.
Right to armor tough.
Here we go.
Tic-tac.
Yeah. Here we go.
Need a new floor for your fire station? Choose an armor-tough interlocking flooring system to cover your aging, stained, cracked concrete or epoxy floor. Around for nearly 20 years and proven to be the best choice in renovating your station floors, covering nearly 600 floors across the country, Armor Tough is proudly made in America and comes with a lifetime warranty with floors that are usually installed in 1 or 2 days, depending on the size of your station, and no disruption in the process to your station's operations. Our system is guaranteed from chipping, cracking, peeling, breaking, or staining. The tiles are stain resistant and impervious to chemicals or volatiles that are used in the fire service. If you damage one tile, you can lift and replace without anyone knowing. And once it's installed, your floor would be easy to clean with just soap and water. It's not only for apparatus rooms. You can install an Armor Tough floor in virtually any room and choose from the hundreds of colors from the Designer Series or, if you like, from the Utility Series floor coverings. Are you in need of gear racks, an extractor, or gear dryers? Install an Armor Tough floor in your apparatus bay and take full advantage of a deep discount, saving you thousands of dollars on any of the Grove products line. Why install a breakable epoxy floor that'll need replacing in 5 to 10 years when you could have a floor that will last a lifetime? The Armor Tough flooring system is half the price of epoxy and will last a lifetime without issue, more importantly. Join the hundreds of career and volunteer departments nationwide who have chosen an Armor Tough interlocking tile floor. Call Vince today for a no-obligation quote at 908-917-7697.
And thank you, guys. Really quick couple shout-outs. We got Joel Kanaski in the chat. He's coming on with a couple of the rescue guys. Paul Hashag and Hank Millett. We're doing a Rescue 1 show. I talked to Captain Cirillo, Rescue 1. We're going to try to get him on now that he's retired. And, of course, our buddy Johnny Mack from Squad 288, first recipient of the Peter Gansey Award. We'll be getting on him soon, too.
Yes, great stuff.
Great stuff coming out. Only here.
Always exciting.
Only here.
Only on this place. Only on this show.
That's it.
No one.
Okay.
I won't hit that just yet.
Not today.
Not tonight.
Oh, no.
Today.
That's not.
We're not going down that road today.
We gotta be,
Lady on tonight. We're not going down that road.
We got to act like men.
It's not that she hasn't heard 8 million times before.
Hey.
All right. Go ahead, rookie.
All right, we'll bring the chief in first.
Yes.
Coming to the stage,
he's got a little steak
Jay
tonight.
Jonas.
Better than him. Lovely Judy. She's bouncing around. You'll see her bounce around the back like the Energizer Bunny.
All right.
Thinking of steak or something for sure.
Oh,
all right.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ruff.
All right, you guys ready? Coming in, Miss Vina Drennan.
Forget about that.
Hello, everybody.
We call her Vina, not Mr. Drennan. But before we get into our stories here, we're going to find out about her husband, what type of guy he was, what he liked. We got to get patriotic, Cons. We got to do it.
Absolutely, my friend. All right, here we go.
The best country in the world, in the history of the world.
All right, here we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Thank you.
No,
Well, welcome to the show, Vina.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Been a guest many times. He might be up there with Frank Lieb for amount of appearances on the show.
No, he might have him beat. Might have him beat.
Well, let's talk about John a little, Vina. Tell us how you guys met, what he was like when you met, husband, what type of guy was he?
Okay. We went to Tottenville High School. It was 1959 when we were 58 or so. So it was really a very rural place. It was before the bridge connected Brooklyn. He was this oldest son in a moving business, and his father relied on firefighters to work a part-time job on their day off from the fire department. John was a very good worker, real strong, like the whole family was extremely strong. And so it was those like part-time moving men that were really firemen in their other life that convinced John to take the test. And it was just an absolute love of his life to be a firefighter. He had the happiest 27 years of his life, and I was glad to be a part of it. You know, it was we were like retired old people in our 20s, because on his day off we'd go out and have lunch, and he'd get his little Wendy's coupon, you know, or it was Roy Rogers then, you know, but loved saving a buck, but you know,
that's right.
and he loved clothes. Like he'd go to Marshall's and go, "Look at this shirt. This is good quality." $14. The other thing he loved to do was vocabulary words. Like he loved the Reader's Digest would have 20 like vocabulary words, and he really crossword puzzles.
I was going to say, had to be doing crossword puzzles that
Well,
night.
he had a lieutenant, Mike Wacola, which I wrote a tribute to Mike Wacola. If we have, if it gets boring, which I don't think so,
of course we'll be
I'd
able
love
to
to read the Mike Wacola tribute. But Mike Wacola had no desire to be anything but a lieutenant. And he was smart as could be, probably like Mensa smart. And it drove John crazy, but he could take the Sunday Times and do the whole puzzle. And John would come home and he'd go, "You can do the whole puzzle." So there were things like outside of the job. He loved football. He was a wonderful coach. I spoke before the show about how he helped every kid that ever played for him get into college at a time. Oh, there he is. Look at that.
Yes, this is compliments of one of our guests. I was telling you earlier, Jeremy or Jermaine, I think he pronounced his name, but his dad was coached by your husband.
This is him. Oh, I'm pointing like it.
He's on the right side. You can just say the right.
No, I know who he is. The hair was different in those days. I was going to say that's who I fell in love with. What great taste. But,
Coobs, it must have been all those muscles.
I
from
honestly,
couches.
I love that man. He walked into my homeroom in our sophomore year, and I was the secretary, and I would go home and practice saying in front of the mirror, "John," and he liked me too, believe it or not. And it was we didn't go out in high school because he had another girlfriend. But by college.
God, you slid right in there.
He decided he was going to work. So he worked for United Fruit. I think he was making like $42 a week. Well, anyway, he didn't have the greatest behavior record in Tottenville High School, but his grandfather knew the coach of the basketball team and been an institution there. They took all his bad behavior stuff out, and he went to Wagner on trial. And he really wanted to just play football, and he did. So he went from kind of being a walk-on to getting a game ball one game and having the respect of everybody. So he was fun to know. There was never we were a good couple. Like, I think he met his match in me. It was a time when you were taught as a teenager, you always let the man win. If you want to have a second date, he's got to win that Scrabble game. I was going to let him win. And he'd do all these cheesy things that would piss me off, like put an S on the end of words. I'll go ahead. That's really cheesy. But the kids actually asked us to stop playing Scrabble, so that's how bad it got. But I grieved a long time. He was such a he seemed quiet and unassuming, but he just had a love of people, a love of life. He was funny. I think anybody that was ever in a firehouse with him just had a loyalty to him that was just intense. He would break rules. He really would. He would pretend they were inspecting buildings, and I think they were playing stickball.
Wait a minute. That sounds like BI. We know somebody who may pretend to do BI. Sounds anyway, I know somebody.
I know I like this guy. I knew I liked him.
Yeah. I liked him. He missed my grandfather's funeral, but he went out to see Louis Valenzuela's grandfather's funeral in Long Island. And I know it's because 114 had a keg of beer on the bus, so
allegedly.
There's always plenty you could be mad at him for, but I think I was really lucky to just have him. He loved his kids. And I said to them when he died, I said, "I want you to live the life that would have made your father proud." And it's 30 years later, and they certainly did. He would have loved those grandkids. One of them came back. I swear he's back. One of my grandsons is a spitting image of playing football. Like Luke had to play football, and he's I don't know. Do they come back? Like I think he's back. Maybe.
Maybe.
An awful lot like that. But
how many children did you have? Vina?
We had four, and that's a lot of kids. You know, we never got through pregnancies easy.
Yeah.
My back hurt, so did his. I go, it was way before we're pregnant, you know. No, I am. We go do something else, but don't tell me we're pregnant, you know.
Yeah.
But so anyway, is that enough?
Awesome.
Is that enough?
Yeah, it's whatever you want it to be.
Okay,
Whatever you
that's
want it to
enough.
be.
Yeah. That's him and my daughter Adrian, the second daughter.
Oh, she's beautiful.
But he loved them.
Yeah.
They were 3 daughters, and my son was 14 when he died.
How did he get involved in the fire department? How did he?
Well, it was through the moving men that worked for my father-in-law.
Oh, that's right. You said.
And they told him to take a thing. The test.
Just took the test through that.
Yeah.
Nice.
And basically, you know, from day one. Well, no, actually, it was the time he got on the job that if you went to college, there was resentment among certain people. And he got assigned, he didn't know anybody back then, but he got assigned to a company around, you know, like where 120, you know, where the UFOA office is, that side street, there's a little firehouse there. Jay, you would know.
6 Engine?
Yeah, 6 Engine. That was his first firehouse. And there was a guy there that had been on the job for years, and he hated John because he went to college. And, you know, as a probie, you shut up and put up with it, but he taunted him. And finally, I don't know if he was still a probie or not, but
Probably the day after probation.
Yeah, probably the day after.
You know what?
That ended. You know, that ended. But it's hard to believe because I think now many more of them are college educated. But back then it was, you know, considered taking away a working man's job. You college. You know, it's hard to believe that changed. I forgot all about that. Okay, I'm done. That's enough of him.
All right, Chief, you want to walk us through that day, that fire?
What?
Oh, I asked the chief if he could walk us through the day that fire.
Well, I started writing my newsletters, the Division 7 newsletters, because some of these major incidents were being lost in the dustbin of history, and this was one of the biggest fires during my career was Watt Street, and it was a landmark fire. Anytime you have 3 firefighters perish at one fire, you stand up and take notice. And the fire occurred on March 28th, very close to the date of March 25th, which was famous for the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire and Happy Land. So that the end of March, you know, plan your vacation, take off, you know.
Yeah.
But it was also a landmark event in that it changed the way we operate. You know, we changed our protective gear and everything that came with that, and it changed our response patterns with the firefighter assistant search team, the FAST team. Now would go out on a 1075 instead of waiting until an all hands.
All hands.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've been to a couple fatal fires, and yeah, you go back to the building the next day with no smoke and no firemen hanging out and everything, and you look at this building and it's like, this is a postage stamp building. How could this one building create so much horror and terror? Just this one little 3-story brick nothing building, and 3 firemen lost their lives in this building. It was only 20 by 46. Big thing, there was an open interior wooden stairway, and that's one of the things that is a problem for firemen going above the fire. There's nothing to between you and whatever's coming up. One thing, it had a lot of renovations, and like most renovations, unless it's the installation of a sprinkler system, it's usually bad for the fire service. Any kind of alteration. They lowered ceilings, and you think, well, what's the big deal about that? Well, anytime there's less of an area, the fire has a chance to flash over quicker. They took out the second doorway to the apartment, so there was no opportunity when you went above to seek an area of refuge. Like I said, it was one apartment per floor. It was a 3-story building, and there was a basement apartment. So there were 4 apartments in this building. There was no problem with water in this building. You had Watt Street, which was intersected with 6th Avenue and Varick Street, and so there was a hydrant on every corner and one in the middle of the block. So they had no problem with water.
There was a mix-up, though, right, with the manpower or something. They were dropping guys off and picking up somebody else because there was too many. There was a probie working in the truck or something, right? Am I?
Yeah. Well, a truck had several probies. Must have been an overtime problem, and that they just hired guys who's they were looking for a heartbeat. All right, I'll work. And all of a sudden they found that they got a lot of company filled with probies. So what they did was they swapped out with Ladder 5, and they met at Ladder 5's firehouse on 227 6th Avenue, and they swapped out some guys. They had Jimmy Young and Chris Seidenberg. They went over to become the forcible entry team for 5 truck, and Craig Monahan ended up going to 8 truck. He was in 5 truck, and he would be their roof man. So it was a little bit of a juggle. And when the fire occurred, the 8 truck was still at the quarters of 24 engine and 5 truck. So there was a apparatus arrived out of order. 8 truck ended up being first due, and they're supposed to be second due. It sounds like it wasn't really a confusing issue, but that's just the way it was. And it was, for those of you who don't know, Watt Street is a feeder street for the Holland Tunnel. And it was, this was shortly after 6 o'clock. So it was right in the middle of rush hour. And you've ever experienced Lower Manhattan, the Greenwich Village area, going towards the Holland Tunnel, it's a mess. Every night it's a mess. And just trying to get through there with the apparatus was a problem. And so they, like I said, 8 truck got there first due. Everybody else arrived a minute later. 55 engine, 24 engine, 5 truck, and 7 engine in the 2nd Battalion. And one thing that I found interesting, all the floors in this building 2 days prior to the fire were refinished. That they, every wood plank floor in that building.
Polyurethane.
The polyurethane or lacquer or something, right?
Yeah. They didn't really talk about it much in the fire report. But I strongly think that,
There's no doubt.
As soon as he got some heat, this was off gassing, and it made the fire much more intense. Weather was fine, and weather was seasonable, and there was no wind. For the dramatic fire event that occurred there, the wind played no factor. It was not a wind-driven event. So, like we just went through the exchange in manpower, and a truck arrived, and they could not make the turn from Varick onto Watt Street because of the traffic. They had a rear mount and they couldn't do it. And 5 truck ended up coming in. Chris Wall, mentioned him a couple times today, was the chauffeur, and Jerry Redmond was the tillerman. And they were with the tiller. They were able to, make it bend and using its hinges, and they were able to get to exposure 2 of the fire building with the aerial ladder. So they got the aerial ladder up, and there was a little bit of smoke showing at 62 Watt Street. Smoke was coming out the windows a little bit, and the lieutenant from A truck was John Dopwell, and he called the chauffeur, told him to transfer it to 1075, and so they started doing the routine things. There was a mix-up. A truck thought that exposure 2 was the fire buildings, and it wasn't, but it kind of corrected itself. They started stretching a hose line off of the corner from 55 engine that they would, and it was about 120 feet away from the fire building. So they were things are getting done, and the OB from A truck, like I said, he made a mistake, and he ended up going to the fire building on the first floor, and the forceful entry man from Ladder 8, they both teamed up, and they were trying to force the door to the fire department. And then Ladder 5 shows up, and Eddie Donahue was the roof man. I just said Jerry Redmond was the tillerman. Chris Wall was the chauffeur. And then you had John, Chris, and Jimmy were the forceful entry team from Ladder 5. And they did everything right. John is now acting as a second to ladder. They're going above for a search on the floor above the fire, which is a very dangerous position to be in. And he grabbed the officer on the fire floor. So we're going above. So they knew they were going above, and up they went. They forced the entry to the fire department on the first floor, and it did not have a automatic closing device as it's required to have. And the door got away from them, and the lieutenant from A truck started crawling into the first floor apartment. And initially there was an outrush of gray smoke. Then it reversed itself, which is a sign for a backdraft. Mm-hmm. And they went in. All of a sudden, it started taking off. And 55 engine arrived with their hose line. Kevin Erdman was the nozzle man, and he was getting ready to fight this fire. It's starting to take off, and there was a delay, and he went to the front door of the fire building. He's looking down the block. He said, "How come it's taking so long to get water?" And but it was, like I said, it was a distance of about 120 feet, and they were flaking the line out, and they got water. And he was on his knees with the nozzle, waiting to fight the fire. The hose line filled up, and it got charged. And all of a sudden, the heat got so intense and came out with such ferocity, it knocked him off his knees and put him on his back. And he's on his back. He says he was shrouded by orange flames. So that's all he could see in his mask face piece. And he was opening up the nozzle, trying to hit it overhead to extinguish the fire all around him. And the control man was Scott Conaghy, and he was at the fire building doorway, and he got blown off his knees. So this was not your average fire that was taking place. And so you had the OB from Ladder 8 took a hook, and he took out the front window of the of the fire department. Now there was no wind going on at the time.
Yeah, look at that flame. I remember that video
Yeah.
like it was yesterday.
But that's what happened when he took the window. The fire was
Pressure.
oxygen starved, and now you got this release of this flammable gas. Probably off gassing from the polyurethane, and that's what they saw for about 15 seconds. This tremendous volume of fire coming out, and they said it made a roaring noise, and the fire was now inside, was racing up the interior stairway, and it was so with such ferocity that it blew through the skylights on the above the stairway, and there was one on the third floor over the bathroom. And that's
I remember
when
that video coming through the skylight, the fire coming through the skylight, like.
Yeah, I think that's what I have. I think they have some of that footage on that NBC special. I think it's on.
Supposedly, according to Battalion 6, they could see it blocks away coming through the skylight.
I mean, you're talking 1994, like nobody really had cameras like they do today, obviously in video.
Right.
To have that video, I mean, I got on in May of '93, so I was still on probation.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this in the pre-show with Vina, and I was like, this is one of the jobs that changed it for me, because I had been to a few jobs and everything was like it is. It's clockwork. It's perfect, right? The fire goes out. It's fun. You get an adrenaline rush. It's like, it's the most incredible thing ever.
Right.
And then this was the first time that I stood, that we lost some guys. And I stood at the church, in one guy in a sea of absolute thousands of guys. It was such an incredible thing. And it, like, the job got serious for me. Like, all of a sudden, like, I knew I had to practice more and do more and train more, and all of that came full circle.
This fire seemed to touch guys in a very real way. They were, they took it personally. Says that could have been, I could have been Jimmy.
Oh, it could be anybody,
that could have been me.
It happened 1,000 times, and it's just,
even when you're doing everything right.
Right. Well,
that the captain lived for so long after. Right. That was the thing, is everybody was praying for him. Like, obviously we lost Chris and right.
Jimmy.
Yeah. And Jimmy. So everybody was just hoping to God that, and we were listening. You get, in the fire department, you don't get much, good information, unfortunately. And we would just hear drips and drabs that the captain was, he had a lot of burns and it looked good. It didn't look good. Like day to day it was. And then you figure, the longer he goes, the better it was, like that's the way the guys in the firehouse talked about it anyway, that I remember.
Yeah, well, this was your garden variety bread and butter fire. We go to these and we win.
Right.
We win at these fires, first floor, first stretching, that's,
first floor fire, right? Quick knockdown.
And engine companies, they love that, first floor fire, sign me up, and so they stretched the line, no problem, and the fire came out with such ferocity that it overwhelmed this first two line, and 55 engines a good engine, and it overwhelmed this inch and quarter line. You ordinarily think, oh, we could just march through here and take it, and there was no taking it. They were fighting as best they could, and but that's when there was an urgent message, and it was and it wasn't clear who gave the urgent message, and Richie Artisan was the battalion chief, and he inquired, and they said it was ladder 5, and so you had Jerry Redmond was the tillman, and Chris Wall was the chauffeur of fire truck, and they went through to the rear yard to get to the rear fire escape of the fire building, and Jerry Redmond climbed the fire escape. He vented the first floor window, and he went to the second floor to make entry, and he made entry, and he got to the apartment door, and he could see the metal, the metal block, 36-inch wide apartment door was dented. It was dented inward, and he couldn't open the door. He had to use his Halligan tool to force open the door, so it was an inward opening door. And John fell into the apartment once he forced the door, and so did Chris Siedenberg. And
Young was in the hallway, right? I think still.
Young was still in the hallway, and he was discovered by 55 engine. They were 24 engine came and took their place on the fire floor, the first floor, and 55 was going up because now they had a stairway fire, so they're trying to take care of that. And 55 engine came upon Jimmy Young, and it wasn't readily apparent that it was a fireman fatality. He was right in the middle of what was coming up the stairway. And I think it was Brian McCullough was the battalion chief in the 6th Battalion. The division sent him to find out what was going on. Once Jerry Redmond forced the door to the second floor, he gave a mayday. So he wanted to Chief McCullough to go upstairs and see what was going on, and he saw the Jimmy Young. He wasn't readily apparent that it was a fireman. The damage was so bad, and then they figured it out, and he transmitted a 1045 code 1 for Jimmy Young, and 1045 code 2 for John and Chris, and once this happened, they removed them, and the ambulances got there quickly.
Chief, hold on one second. Vina, if I wasn't sure if you wanted to talk about this or not, but
yeah,
when did you first get notified? Like, what was how did that whole come about?
Tommy Vallabona, who's the chief down in a nearby firehouse to where we lived, knocked on our door. It was Murder, She Wrote. It just ended. And so it was, I guess we could figure out, it was probably like 8, 9 o'clock Sunday night. I don't remember when the show was on. And he said, Vina, John's been hurt. Come with me. And I walked up the stairs and I said, let's call him. And he said, you can't call him, because usually you call them if it's knees or
like
something.
Burns, something small.
I immediately knew it was bad. The problem was, in that time, like, the TV was still on. I had 2 kids watching, John and Adrian, and they hear that there's a dead firefighter right after I leave.
Oh my God.
And whenever they reported it, I'm not sure if it was right after, but I was gone a long time. I was gone till 2 a.m. And I talk in my journal keeping, it was the longest ride of my life, because I knew it had to be serious. And what can Vallabona tell me? He's not, he doesn't know. He's been told to go pick me up. And they had him, in fact, on that Dateline video, you see him in that ambulance the first time with the pants leg ripped. And basically, it's like chaos, the lights and the emergency vehicles and the amount of people, and the mayor's coming and his entourage, and there he is. You could smell the burnt flesh, and I knew it was bad. And I did say to him, I said, I loved you from the first time I ever looked at you, John Drennan. And he wanted to get, I think, Patty Brown the cover for his firehouse. So there was communication in that early moments. it's going to be the next day and the next day and the next day that we realize he's never going to be able to communicate again with the morphine and all the pain he's under. So I met Howard Safer, that kind of thing. But I did go to the fire scene a couple days later, a day later, and I saw they narrowed the staircase too to make a bigger living room.
Right.
I remember that.
And
Yes.
it acted like a chimney almost.
Right.
He had when I say he was strong, I'm not just saying it. Like, he really was. His mother could move a refrigerator. One day my mother's saying, "Oh, I wish I could clean the dust under there." And my mother-in-law gets up and moves the refrigerator. So he really was strong. Anyway, it was one of those big brown, I guess it was black when I saw it, security doors in apartment buildings. And his arm had a bruise here, that one part of them that wasn't burned, and it was
From banging on the door, trying to bang the door down.
Almost made it. And on the other side of that door was a goldfish floating in its little bowl. Like, safety was like an inch away.
Oh my God!
A goldfish was right near, and it was just, it's almost like.
Well, it's strong enough to dent that door.
Yeah, he had bent it.
Yeah.
He almost did it. Like, and
Wow.
I remember, like, the glass was melted, hanging like icicles for a while. And when you see melted glass hanging like icicles, like,
Yeah.
he was burned badly.
So that first night was the last night you spoke to him?
Oh no, I talked to him, but like, he always was like, had trachs and stuff. Like, sometimes a tear would roll off his eye.
Oh goodness.
I sat. We had a long. It's long hours, very long hours, and they did 11 surgeries. There's little things that make it. Am I taking Jay's time?
No,
No, girl.
Vina, this is your show.
He had no thumb. His thumb burned, and if you don't have a thumb, you can't eat. Can you imagine John Drennan's life
Without eating?
Get the gun out.
It could take all the other figures. Just leave me the thumb.
I guess you could still have a beer.
Yeah.
I don't want to. It's like almost like the saddest thing. And the last day, this was minor surgery to Dr. Madden. At this point, he had done huge. Dr. Madden was absolute most wonderful doctor. They said that after he died, he almost was so distraught, that he lost him. But they were going to use a part of like something that hadn't burned, like that was on the way upper part of his thigh, to try to make another appendage so he could maybe eat someday.
I understand.
We as lay people, we don't understand the severity of burns. One of his friends that was a football coach at Susan Wagner came to see him, and it's all the, hey, Big John, how you doing? Like, and he's out of it. And the sheet fell off. I thought the guy was going to pass out. Okay. I still don't like looking at skeletons. It still gives me, there's no flesh like on his legs. So by the third or fourth week, I mean, like, what kind of life would he have had? So I am in deep. Do you understand why I just wanted to stop fires? In that burn unit, the biggest burn unit probably in New York City, everybody comes for rehab. Teenagers with melted bones, disfigured faces, hair that doesn't grow. Old ladies lay awake at night moaning. little tiny little frail ladies, because just a burn from a hot cup of tea can ruin their skin. My eyes in that 40 days, seeing what fire did to John, but also seeing what it does to the thousands of people. I mean, for every one that dies, we lose about 4,000 a year in America. They say 3 times as many are just severely burned. So I just vowed, I didn't go back to teaching the next year. I just spent the rest of my life. I didn't take any paycheck or anything. I just wanted to have nobody ever have to go through the agony of being burned, or their families too, because how would we have taken care of him? He would have been just pitied.
What kind of life would that have been? It wouldn't have been a life.
Yeah. I'm sure firefighters would have come and we would take, tried, but you know what? The day-to-day stuff, I didn't see any happy ending. I didn't know how it was going to end. I was terrified. And entered Patrick Brown at this point, I guess, who was assigned to be our guardian angel, I suppose. And he fulfilled that.
Vina, do you feel like I know this happened with my in-laws. My father-in-law had a heart attack, and he was brought back, and he lived for like another 2 months, right? Mm-hmm. So it wasn't so much of a shock. It was almost at that time, like similar to what you were just saying. Obviously, you always want the best, but at some point, you just like. I remember my mother-in-law almost saying like, "Just it's okay to go." Like, you want him to rest almost. You know what I mean? He was fighting all the time, and he wasn't really there.
Patty Brown says that to him in that Dateline video, supposedly. Patty spent a lot of time alone with him.
Yeah, I actually had that part queued up where
now
saying it was okay to go.
Patrick always oversteps. He has. Is this his job?
I love it.
Don't hold back, Peter. Please don't hold back. Don't hold back.
You've known him for 2 weeks, but you can tell him it's okay to die. I don't know. I don't like that.
But did you feel like the 40 days gave as if it didn't happen the first day, obviously with Jim and.
Well,
Chris,
I got
gave you
to
a little
know,
bit of cushion.
Over the years, Charlie's mom and dad and his brother, and Mrs. Young, and everybody knows Kenny. So the families, we were all kind to each other. I'm always real careful to include the loss of Christopher and Jimmy if I talk about John in any venue. But I still hate to say it, I would have, I'm not technically really noble. I don't see me as Mother Teresa. I probably would have done the best I could. And it might not have been good enough. I would have tried. The grief was intense. I thought it was a merciful ending. And that was the thoughts I had. This is a merciful ending. He tried. He tried his damnedest.
That's what I was getting at. I did feel like that was the case with my mother-in-law.
The problem that happened was, you can logically say this is a merciful ending. There was never a day I doubted that. But nothing prepares your heart for the grief. Yeah. And that lasted. I was surprised. I just didn't. It hits you like a ton of bricks. And you figure we have about 12 million widows right now in America and about 3 million widowers. We got 6% of the population have lost their spouse, probably over the age of 60. I was a young widow. Now I'm an old widow, but it's like there's needs. You see there's no grief that's the same. You can't tell somebody, what, a year's up, it should be over. No. Everybody does it in their own time. And there's healthy things you can do to help yourself, but there's also another whole level of almost like science that you got to figure. I couldn't figure it out. I read everything I could find on grieving. I like the Mexican idea of the Day of the Dead. I would love to go to the cemetery with my marigolds and some cans of beer for him and sit outside all night and have him visit us on the Day of the Dead. I actually went with Justine to, we wound up, we were in Mexico, Tijuana, on the Day of the Dead. And we did go to the cemetery in the daytime, but it just seemed like, wouldn't that have been it? You know, if I was creating, if I had the power to be able to, create things, I think that I'd love to see him once a year and update him on everything. It would be such a treat. I think I still love him.
Yeah, that doesn't end. Do you find that you find yourself still talking to him? Like, do you? Oh
yeah. In fact, I got a little 5x7 of him. He sits next to Barack Obama. And I was watching the Mets one day, and I just looked up. I was sitting on my bed. You want to watch the game? I went over and I turned his picture. I guess when I dusted, it got turned in. But
how was it with the kids at that age? Like, did you
we
feel like
were
the firehouse?
Ping pong balls,
Yeah.
One thing that the support we got following our grief lasted a long time. There was when 9/11 happened, my son got all teary, and when not immediately, but when he found out that Tommy Hannafin had died, because Tommy Hannafin took such good care of him. He was 14 years old, and Hannafin, I guess, just didn't ask, just knew what had to be done. And John was upset because, number one, Tommy died, but the family moved. And he said, I can't even do a thing for his children. I can't even begin to make up for what he did for me. And I think when you look at, did I disappear?
No, you're good there. You're good.
Okay. I touched something, and it's now I got like the Grand Canyon in front of me.
It might have just minimized it, so we can still see you though.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't see you at all. Okay, but
well, it's good. You don't have to look at Coobs.
I knew you beat me to it. I was just gonna say that. I was gonna use Gonzo actually.
Go ahead, Vina. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Should I click something? Let me. No.
There's a minimize button. It's a little minus sign somewhere in there. If you hit it, it should.
All right. Let me just finish this thought, and then somebody else can have a chance.
Then we'll play the video, Gons.
That John, like Justine, Steve Schlopak up at Chumley's, that bar that had John's picture hanging there for years. He gives her a job as a waitress. Okay. It's a wonderful story in itself, because he thought he could get Justine to dress better. I said, and he would come and tell me what she was doing. Like, he didn't have children of his own. Adrian later gets a job with the National Hockey League, a really nice job with the National Hockey League. And the kindnesses were unbelievable. Michael Judge was in her life, calling all the time. I ate out with Patrick and all of Rescue 1 at least every couple of weeks, and he would have Michael Judge come, and Michael Daly, who wrote for the Daily News. Patrick, I was just thinking of Dennis Mojica the other day, and Terry Hatton, when I was going through all this stuff. Those dinners at Zeno's, I mean, they didn't have to do that. I was, I was an old lady to them. I was 50 years old. Well, Dennis was my age. But, always included me on those type of things, and that was a tremendous kindness, and it really got me through just loneliness, absolute loneliness. Like the kids were hurting, I was hurting. I didn't have an attention span to open a can of cat food for the cat. Like, it's so hard to explain. You can't remember what you read. I finally figured out why kids in troubled neighborhoods have harder time scoring well on tests. It's the trauma of their lives. They see a lot more than kids coming from normal homes. So yeah, they're gonna have trouble reading. I didn't even know current events that were going on. So it brought me low, and I never forgot those lessons of those days where, you know what, there's some things you just have to hope pass. All right, somebody else talk, and I'm going to try to find this button.
Chief, did you work with Captain Drennan?
Did not, no.
Really? Being down there all that time?
Well, I think we were like ships passing in the night.
In the night?
I got promoted to captain in the fall of '93. I think that's when he got promoted to captain, and he went to Lower Manhattan. I went up to the Bronx. I was up in the Bronx for about a year, and I got asked to come back to the First Division, but this had already happened.
You see it?
You have to leave it there for longer than like a millisecond. Okay. Okay.
Dude, huh?
All right.
I got it.
I thought you were saying something to us.
But just to emphasize how much these guys endured, they were subject to this intense heat for 6.5 minutes.
Oh my God! I didn't know it was that long.
6.5 minutes, and the temperatures burned to over 2,200 degrees.
At that point, it might as well be 6 hours. Holy God, 6.5 minutes.
And just to give you a little context, wired glass melts at 1,600 degrees. So this was well above the melting point of the wire glass. So that was, and that they had the National Institute of Standards and Technology come and investigate it, and they came in and they did their investigation, and it was definitely a backdraft. So not a fire phenomenon that we see very often. Obviously we see flashovers a lot more than we do backdrafts.
You're a dime a dozen now.
But now,
I mean, that fire started from a waste paper basket, right?
No, actually,
something on the stove.
No, pizza box.
Pizza box. That's right. Pizza box on the stove from the
and a pilot
right?
light, an old-fashioned pilot light.
Right.
Correct.
They said the girl whose apartment it was, she was going to work and she wanted to keep the dog away from the garbage, so she put the garbage on top of the of the stove.
Oh, that's how the dog got involved. I never heard the dog part.
Yeah.
Oh, darn.
Yeah. So, and that's how that started. And it took like an hour and 10 minutes for the fire to take off to the point where people noticed it. Mm-hmm. There was no automatic alarms in the building, and somebody smelled smoke, and then the fire got reported. But it was percolating for over an hour, and so it was really building up this tremendous pressure and flammability.
Waiting for the oxygen,
and every window in this building with the renovations was an energy efficient window. So
wasn't getting out.
No. I remember when I came on the job, most of the windows were the old wooden single pane windows.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like in a very short period of time, within a couple of years, it seemed like every window in the city was going to an energy efficient window.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so
Chief Jonas was in Proby school with John's cousin Joe Drennan in '79.
Yes, I was. Class of '79.
Oh, you were you? Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah. How you doing, Joe? So,
Is he
He's
there?
in the chat. He's in
He's
the
in
chat.
the chat
Vina.
right now.
Oh,
He said hello. Hey, Vina.
oh, I'm having computer problems. John's coming.
Technical
Ah.
difficulties.
Oh, he's on his way.
Technical difficulties.
He's doing a. Don't tell anybody. We'll just keep
He's
that
running.
on the down low. He's running on
Vina,
down the street.
let me ask you. We'll fast forward a little bit. When did you start to think, like you were saying, you hit the low point, obviously. When did you start to think like you wanted to get involved in what you pursued later in time, like getting involved, politically and all that stuff?
Yeah, that happens right along with it. It's not like you just sit home and suck your thumb. I mean, you're still functioning, and it's through the functioning and activity that you do. I was you had asked earlier about the inception of Bunker Gear. Basically, Giuliani approaches us and asks if we will appear on Channel 11 News, Mary Murphy, the children, and me, and with Marty McTeague. He had been burned.
Yeah.
It was that the Con Edison fire.
yeah, the steam.
And basically, he knows the importance of Bunker Gear. I mean, John would have been able to get out if if the three of them had Bunker Gear. They would have had at least an opportunity to exit the building. It took me a long time to figure that out, because I don't think it protects the temperatures Jay was talking about. But that starts pretty quickly, and by July of that year, it cost $10 million. And by July, everybody's outfitted with it. I love firefighters, but my God, they hate change. So at that time, you cannot believe what they were saying. Oh, we're going to have heart attacks.
I heard it.
We're going to have heart attacks. You're trying to kill us.
Two things. They don't like change, and they don't like the way things are. That's how we operate.
Right. Yeah, they're real fun to live with.
They're real fun.
You know what, Vina? You do the same thing my wife does. Anytime she says something that I said, she does this voice like this. Oh, well, you go to the. I go, do I really sound like that? I don't really sound like that, do I?
I don't know.
But it comes quickly. Howard Safer introduces me to, I think the lady's name's Mary also, but the lady who I can't think of the name of the company, but sure enough, like within a short time, it paid for itself within a year. I think there were 14,000 firefighters at the time in New York City. And the burns on the knees, the burns were decreased 75%.
Wow.
He was still getting and paid for the Bunker Gear itself. I got a call within the last year from the fire department chaplain, Ann Canfield. Do you know her?
I know her.
Yeah. And she said to me, I've been wanting to meet you, Vina. She said, I've been a chaplain now for 2 years, I think at the time she said, and I have never been to the New York City firefighter burn, unit, the place Jimmy Curran, was so important with, setting up and funding and doing everything for it. Every firehouse table had a coffee can, right? And all the extra money
goes to the burn center.
Right, would go to the burn center for that New York City firefighter burn section. And she said, I've never been called there. That's how Bunker Gear has protected them so much.
Wow. So
and who knows, I know that some was saved. It gave them the time to eat.
No doubt.
Chicago is going to even be more macho than New York, because they're not going to have Bunker Gear for another 7 years, or at least 4 years.
They don't have Bunker Gear right now?
No, they have now, but following New York getting it. So I had been asked to. Oh, I'm back.
You are.
Oh my God, my son's going to have a fit.
You snuck right. Is it back?
I don't know what happened. It's me. It's me. It's like gremlins.
Don't touch anything, though. Just
let me tell you just
don't talk with your hands.
About Chicago. I was the keynote speaker. They were going to get together all the national leaders in the country and come up with the 16 fire and life safety 16 key initiatives, right, in Tampa. So the plane was delayed for the keynote speaker, and they didn't want me aggravating all the big guys. So, I can do that in speeches very easily. So Ron Sarnicki says to me, could you just give us 5 minutes? So I could do speeches. Just tell me what you want. So I get up and I got into it. I really did. It was, I had been reading about the Charge of the Light Brigade, and that was a fiasco. The Charge of the Light Brigade is a huge blunder, okay? And here we are in New York City thinking, gosh, what heroes? They're dead. They must be heroes. Come on, give me a break. I can't be polite to this nonsense. So it turns out in the speech that's impromptu, I go, in Chicago, they don't need bunker gear. Their legs don't burn. Well, the guy who was about to become the commissioner was, his name is Orozco, was sitting on a folding chair in Tampa. So what do I know? So anyway, he calls me a period of time later. I don't know if it's weeks, months. And he says, all right, Vina Drennan, I'm flying you into Chicago and you're going to give your bunker gear speech to everybody every officer. And he did. He's recycled them out in 3 different times. They made me an honorary chief.
We should be calling you chief then. What are we doing?
Well, no, you don't have to, because I think they all forgot it. And I kind of forgot it. But truthfully, I just, okay, a month goes by, 2 months goes by. I get a letter in the mail, and it's from him. And it saved this guy, Jerry. It's a long, hard name, Sparberger. And bunker gear saved his life within 2 months.
Wow.
So, you just, that must be how firefighters feel when they save somebody, right? Like just,
save a life.
Yeah, that, concrete guy goes home to his family, still living, still breathing, because of bunker gear. So, even Chicago.
It had to make you feel like that it was not that it's for a reason, but you pulled something out of this thing that you could
turn something positive, come negative into a positive.
I found with there's lots of ways to fight fire. I cannot physically do what all of you men have done, but I do have the words to fight fire, and I'm good at that aspect of it. Where they seem to see in me whatever it is, their age. So for a while it was a wife. Now they see their great grandmother. But I didn't think I was going to get old so soon. But it's okay. I'm still here. But I always kind of could see they'd identify with wherever they wanted it to be, and oh my God, aren't firefighters worth saving? The most wonderful people I think I'll ever meet. If you can do anything to make their lives a bit easier, or a bit healthiher, it's worth doing. I'll go annoy the union if I have to get them the right attention.
When you were saying before, we've had that quite a bit on the show, especially with the FDNY, and I'm sure it's around the country. I'm sure Gonzo and everybody in the chat. I take great pride, even when you were talking before about how the guys, stepped up for years with the kids and had the parties and did all that. We did that, in our firehouse. And, when I hear things like that, I'm sure Coobs would say the same thing. Like, it just makes you feel good, especially even now, if something should happen, God forbid, that tradition continues, that, we take care of our own all the time. When we started these shows, like these tribute shows, it's for that reason, right? You could say never forget, but do you really mean it? Like, after time goes by, right? And unfortunately, everybody's life is busy. But for those guys to do that, when they had their own families, it's a special thing. You know what I mean? So I just it
truly
made me feel
is.
good that was.
I have a Dennis Mojica story. One of them was one of these rescue around the table at Zeno's down in the village area, whatever. They date beautiful women. Okay, like one had a Playboy model, and here I'm,
That's those
turning
Manhattan
50.
guys. That's those Manhattan
I'm
guys.
sucking my thumb. Yeah, I'm turning 50, and thanks, Patrick. I really need this for a drive from Staten Island to sit next to somebody who has garters. Anyway,
Nice.
I had a cap on my tooth. And of all damn times, the cap falls off.
It popped
It's
off.
on
Oh
the
my
table,
God.
And I got a spike sticking out of my tooth with all these beautiful women.
I love it.
So I leaned over to Dennis and I went, Dennis, my tooth is under the table. I love that man.
A little white chiclet, right? Can you get that,
my
please?
cap.
And you went to the bathroom and you're like, dink.
Where's the Elmers? But, there was so, they
awesome.
let me into their lives.
Mm-hmm.
They truly, I guess to Patrick, all he ever wanted out of life was to be the captain of Rescue 1. But they really, with Ray Downey leading them. I knew Ray Downey pretty well, too, because he would go to the national conventions. He was well thought of on a national level. So Ray was always having to deal with my speeches and always very polite. I have a Patrick story. Is it time to tell it?
Yes, anytime.
Okay. So Patrick ran and ran and ran and ran. He was always running and he was always sweaty. And I know you were moaning about how gorgeous he was, and he truly was handsome.
I didn't say that.
I mean, there were a number of women that were at his funeral that all thought that they were going to marry him. Okay. Now, I had known him long enough to know that Patrick was never marrying anybody. Okay. Like he would find the perfect woman. He'd go, Vina, I want you to meet her. Like he thought I was his grandmother. Okay. So he was so unhouse trained. You couldn't believe it. He came to my house one day. He didn't know I swear he never saw a washing machine that wasn't in a laundry room of an apartment building. He goes, oh, so what do you do? Like, I said, Patrick, I wash your clothes. Just go, So, but anyway, so I, of course, was like everybody else, so sorry that Patrick died. So he ran in Central Park. He loved Central Park. There were places in Central Park that only Patrick would run in. Okay, so was it truck 3 you call it? What do you?
Yeah,
three truck.
3 truck, right? 3 truck gets. Okay, Patrick he's been planning his death forever since Vietnam. Okay, he was 19 years old in Vietnam. Need I say more? He's been planning his funeral rituals since I've known him, and he wants to be his ashes to be thrown outside the back of the Metropolitan Museum on his running track. Okay, the part where you see all the buildings in the distance. 3 truck goes and gets a headstone. You don't know this story?
No.
Go to 3 truck. I think the headstone last time I was there, it was by their door, and maybe they got rid of it. They go by a real cemetery headstone, and they have in memory of Patrick Brown. In night, they get their bag of cement and water, and they go up there. They plant a tree, and they put this headstone with cement that says in memory of Patrick Brown on the grounds of the Central Park. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed. Nobody ever decided to make a cemetery out of Central Park. So, okay, so they've done this, but then now we're supposed to gather and his ashes is going to be thrown in Central Park. Okay, I gather. I go with the group. Michael Daly's there. And
50 Playboy models.
And many women who thought they were the one.
Right.
Oh, no, I shouldn't make it. I just, had been through so many women that I just didn't buy the mother of the groom or whatever the hell expected me to be. So it's going well. His friend, I think Bobby Burke, was saying a few kind words, and it's nighttime, and everybody's scared to death that the Central Park security's going. Or anyway, I might have been the only person that was afraid that Central Park. I did not want to get arrested here. It's cold. It's cold. It's anyway. So everybody gets a little scoop full of ashes, of Patrick Brown's ashes, right? And at the count of 3, we're going to release them. So, okay, up goes the ashes. I swear Patrick did this. The wind blew them all right in our mouth. This, damn it, the holy communion of Patrick Brown. You know, and I, you know that laugh he'd have when he was like almost like a horse laugh. I just said to Michael Daly, I said, he's up there laughing.
Yeah.
So
now everybody's got a little piece of
now what are we going to do? End it on that? No, I went to grade school.
That was good, cool.
It's more. I went to grade school in the 50s. And so I'm born when World War II is ending. Okay. And they're still singing patriotic songs. Like, I bet none of you know this song. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles on the land and on the sea. First for fight. Okay, I'll stop it there. Anyway, it was just too quiet, and I did my third teacher act. Third grade teachers sing. You know, we just have to. I just started bellowing the Marine Corps hymn because I love Patrick too. And I knew that would make him happy. And everybody who knew the words sang along. Michael Daly will say, I've seen you through some pretty, tough times. And, I know he respects me. He goes, I still can't believe you knew the words to the Marine Corps hymn. But good old PS 36.
PS 36.
Taught me all those, Into the Air, all those songs.
What other, besides the bunker gear, what else did you, endeavors did you take up?
Well, Howard Safer brings me to that huge 5,000 people at the Hilton dinner. They show that everybody's talking. It's like going on and on. Like, politicians are, you're a great guy. Oh, no, you're a great guy. It's going on. I got butterflies all over the place, and I just want to get this over. I'm sitting with Safer. He's not a barrel of laughs, but I really respect the guy, and it's like, I'm like, jittering around, and I just want to get this speech over with. And I said, Howard, how the hell am I going to get up there with everybody, 5,000 people talking and I'm a third grade teacher. That boy in the back has to be quiet if I'm talking. So they show that Steve McCarthy. Dateline now is a criminal show, but we were the first Dateline where it was just public service. Anyway, they show that hall was as quiet as could be. And the lights come on, and Vina Drennan says, it started like any other day. I made a cup of coffee for him, and I brought it to him in bed. We talked about the kids' tuition and what we were going to eat for Easter. I kissed him goodbye. And it was the first speech. That was the beginning of the first speech. And it was probably 12 minutes or something like that. And it was unbelievable to me because I kind of was used to New York, where it's a tough crowd. Yeah, it's a tough crowd, damn it. You better be good. And what happened was there was an awful lot of people in the country that were frustrated about the lack of money for other kinds of mitigation. Every company was spending well over 90. New York was spending 98.2% off budget just on suppression. There wasn't much left over for education or any kind of protection or all the juvenile fire center programs or arson investigate, that type of thing. There wasn't much left over. They were sharing a couple of cents left over at the end of the day. And so that message resonated with an awful, probably 20% of the country, because there's an awful lot of people that are serving in the fire service through those efforts. And I started getting invited. I mean, I had a road show, I couldn't keep up with, like, John was still like maybe 16 now. But in all, I think I counted last time 10 years ago, but it was up to 38 states. I went to Canada multiple times. I was in, I bet you've never been to Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan. Hello, ladies. Saskatchewan.
They bought, NFPA had a program called
Big Summer Blowout.
Risk Watch. Okay, they came out with Risk Watch, but they got rid of the fire program, and Canada bought it. Canada was serious about stopping it. And I was up there an awful lot. Eventually I get invited. One good firefighter recommended me as a keynote speaker, and all of a sudden I had to learn about wildland fires. I got invited to Australia. So I spent a month in, there she is. Look at her.
There she is. Look at her.
I don't think it was Australia, that one, but I spent like almost a month in Australia. And
Wow.
yeah, I only did the fire thing, but they gave me those didgeridoo. They treat you well if you come from far away, and it's been a joy. Now that doesn't mean like after the smiles and the laughing, and I was just like I was now, but there was always like that, like, oh, I wish he was just here. Like I'd give up my didgeridoo just to have him back. A lot more than that.
I picked up a subtle nugget there. So you used to bring John his coffee to bed every morning?
Yeah, and then at 3:00, not every morning. I mean,
because I bring it to my wife every morning. I'm like, I might be doing the wrong thing. I don't know what's going on.
I taught in the school behind the house. You could look out the bedroom window and wave to the kids. He would have my coffee on the table at 3:00 if he was home, and that was kind of always the the thing. We wound up watching TV in the bedroom a lot because there were 4 kids fighting over whatever was on the living room TV. So this was so far before computers and phones. But
Go outside and play.
I by going around the country, and they'd often have like a fire marshal pick me up or a fire. I asked every question. How come tin pot, aluminum pot fires smell? How come, and I learned, like, I was like learning all the stuff I didn't know. Like, poor people don't buy Le Creuset pots. They're buying in the dollar store aluminum pots. So yeah, they're going to have more fires because aluminum melts at a lower temperature than even a stainless steel. So, and I was learning that stuff just on these trips to God only knows. I've been in some of the finest hotels in the world, but I've also been in union halls and drafty, like basement type venues, and wherever you go, you don't know where it's going to be an important message or who's
path you might cross, who you might meet.
Yeah. And so, like, therefore, when Clinton put me on America Burning, I knew those names. I knew the Dennis O'Neills, and I knew the Ron Sornicki. If you were the chief of Prince George's County, that to people in Maryland is good as Rescue One. You know what I mean? Like there's equivalencies all over the country. When I was married to John, like I only thought New York was the only fire department in the world because that's what he thought. That
I mean, it's not.
Won't tell them.
What?
Will break their heart. They got over the Easter Bunny. They might not get over that.
There's 2 kinds of firemen in the world.
What are these other fire departments you speak of, Vina?
There's 2 kinds of firemen in the world. There's New York City firemen, those that want to be New York City firemen.
I like that, guys. Thank you.
I learned so much. Like, you cannot tell a New York City firefighter what to do. If you say, here is a free. Whatever, who In Georgia, I found out they have a recycling program, right? And whichever firehouse brings in the most aluminum cans, they get little points. This is how you get them to accept things. And with your free points, you can be number one. And then you get more prizes. And you get the book. And you can choose if you want a smoke detector for your poor people, or if you want whatever you want. You have to let firemen choose. And then it works. Especially if they beat someone else out. You know, if they can, they have to be rivals.
Oh, competitive.
We collected more cans. And we got the book.
You sound just like my wife. I swear to God.
Like fire department mentality.
Yeah.
We go about it all wrong. We have an order coming down. And on Thursday, you're going to install, you know, some fire thing. We're not doing that. So I tried to learn something wherever I went, and often they treat you well. You know, one of the saddest things I learned today was I was invited to Birmingham, Alabama. Bet you haven't been to Birmingham, Alabama. And my mother-in-law, who had a stroke by that time, I love my mother-in-law. His mother was wonderful, and she says, "Oh, I wish I could go to Birmingham." I looked at her and went, "Ma, why do you want to go to Birmingham?" She goes, "That's where Mother Angelica is." Remember that Catholic nun that would, "And so, boys and girls," you know, remember Mother Angelica? Anyway, so the plane lands, the three firefighters pick me up, and they go, "Where do you want to go?" And I said, I want to go to Mother Angelica. So anyway, I did. I bought a nun doll, you know, I did all the prayers and everything like that. And then they took me over to a park in Birmingham. And the park is their way of atoning for that dark, dark history of the little girls dying on Sunday morning and the bombing. And then they walked me around to, you know, it was like a circular walkway. There's a statue of 3 firefighters hosing down the black protesters, people that just wanted a right to vote and live. And he said to me, "That is the darkest day in firefighter history in Alabama, and maybe the whole fire service." The man was so sorry, the chief that was walking me around. I was thinking about today, so much we can learn. You know, we're going through difficult days, you know, as a country, as a fire service even. We're going to have choices to make. And I bet those 3 firefighters, their family, wish they made a different choice that day than to participate in that. You can still love somebody and not have them be perfect. You know, like you can still understand what shame and sorrow and things are. And I think as we all heal, those are important lessons. Like, I want to take my sorrow and make it easier for somebody else's sorrow. And I'll tell you what, when you get out of that cesspool of that damn sorrow, you feel great joy again. You notice the little things. You notice, like, I'm really happy. Okay, I'm a happy old lady. It's good. But I did pay for that understanding of what, you know, a lot of old ladies, I have friends. "Oh, I can't stand the wrinkles. Oh, you know what? I'm just happy to be feeling happy again."
Oh, that's
so
cute.
Thanks for having me.
Beautiful. I'm getting all verklempt in here. I'm getting all.
Oh, I'm sorry. I love making you big boys cry.
Cutting onions. You got onions over there, right? Someone's got onions.
You're crying.
You're crying. I'm not crying. You're crying. I'm not crying.
Chief, I don't know how you're going to top that one, Chief, but go ahead. Try.
No way.
No way.
Where's my steak? Let's go, Judy.
Leave it alone.
We enjoyed having you on the show. You are such an interesting, witty, charming lady.
I read for a week thinking this was going to be some symposium on fire.
Symposium?
You told me it was I want to know about
two
it.
schleps. Two
Look at
schleps.
A couple of knuckleheads. Come
do
on.
I do this?
Couple
Look
of
at this
two
stuff.
tree.
Look at this. Can you see me? Look what I can read.
You printed all that right now? You printed that?
Show on the road again. And you guys,
What?
it was easy. You made it fun too.
Well, did you enjoy it?
I did.
We
Good.
try to keep it very mellow. That's what I was telling you at the beginning. You know, we try to
Before
keep
we
it nice. And,
Yeah.
How much time do we have left?
Go ahead.
You got
6
it.
hours.
What you want.
I had two things that I really thought were super important.
Okay.
Okay. When I first went to Emmitsburg, they were going to charge $100 and you could have your firefighter's name on a brick. Okay. A lot of places do that. So, okay, they got the 100 for John Drennan, but I said, you know what? John Drennan would hate it if there wasn't a brick for everybody on FDNY Hall of Honor. Well, right, honor, when you die and you get your name up in headquarters. So at the time, there were 764 that were dead. So I can do this. I can do this. Well, it took me years, and I got up to $80,000 because the first round went easy, and then it was harder and harder to raise the money. If somebody gave me a stipend for the speech or whatever, I just turned it over and bought bricks with it. So I got up to 85, maybe 1,000, which is a hell of a lot of money to raise on your own. And I kept thinking Ron Sarnicki would just say, all right, we'll put them in. He wouldn't. He made me. So on the board was a man who did the stair climb. They're still doing the stair climb, right?
Uh-huh.
And yes, they are.
He realized that I wasn't raising much money anymore. And he said, we're gonna fund the we're gonna finish because people kept dying. I mean, it wasn't like this thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't 764
It was a finite number, right?
And then forget 9/11. Now I owed him about $35,000.
$40,000.
Yeah. Well, and you don't want somebody not to have a brick. So like they care. It's beautiful. There was a man that got like the Iwo Jima thing, but that looked like they were firefighters.
Yeah,
It was huge, and New York City turned it down. Did you know this?
No, I didn't know that.
Absolutely turned it down.
Sounds about right.
Shipped this thing across the country. It is enormous. I don't know feet in, but it's like so enormous. So there it sits on the grounds of the National Fire Academy, right in the middle. Totally out of proportion. And they actually gave us that part for our bricks. I think if firefighters in New York knew about it, they'd get themselves down to Gettysburg. 3 more miles down the road is Emmitsburg. Go see this thing because all the bricks are laid out there. Well, one of the bricks, I got to talk to the man's daughter. Did you know that a brick from 1923 has the man's daughter became a nun, and her name she's dead now, but Sister Merelda Joseph. And Sister Merelda Joseph took care of Peter McLaughlin's father in a foundling home, an orphanage, and Vinnie McLaughlin, the father, kept in touch with her. So she was watching the news when John was struggling to live, and she wanted to meet. When I called her, she goes, Vina Drennan, I've been wanting to meet you. She was already probably in her 80s, right? And she told me her story. And it's an absolute, I'm going to put my glasses on, just read a couple sentences from it.
Yeah.
Okay, tonight I'd like to tell you the story of one child whose father's name sits on one of the 764 plaques at Fire Department headquarters and also now has a brick. Her name is Sister Merelda Joseph, and she's just spent her life serving God and little children at the New York Foundling Hospital, where she takes care of babies with AIDS and drug problems, even into her 80s. It's 102 years ago now that this fire happened, but it was 6 years before the Depression in 1923. It was a March night, and Engine 26 was fighting a fire at a paper factory on East 26th Street. This could be written today. Mm-hmm. They were fighting a fire in a paper factory on a cold March night. It was 1923, 102 years ago. The front of the building collapsed, crushing firefighter William Aiello, her father, and firefighter Julius Spanier. Sister Merelda remembers clearly all those 76 years later when she was telling me the day they came to tell her mother the news that her dad wasn't coming home. Her mother was left with 3 children under the age of 10. There were no benefits for widows in 1923, but the members of Engine 26 gave the family $5 a month to pay the rent on their home. There weren't any jobs for women in 1923, but Mrs. Aiello became the matron of Engine Company 26. Each day she traveled to the firehouse, cleaned and changed linens. She carried the laundry home and earned a living from the generosity of those firefighters. Later, a pension of $84 a month is instituted. A Model T Ford was to have been used to transport the family and the deceased to the cemetery. But Mrs. Aiello would have none of it. For such a somber day, horses, the big black horses, would serve. To ride in a car would appear to be a joy and not at all fitting for a somber occasion.
Wow.
As it is now, the department gave all its respect and honor to fallen heroes. There was lots of food and drink for all. Mrs. Aiello had a long life. She spent her days making beds and doing laundry for firefighters. She never remarried, and she raised her children to be good citizens. For the last 10 years of her life, when she could no longer work, Engine Company 26 still sent her checks faithfully each month. She remembers those firefighters came to pay her respects when her mother died. And on that occasion, they gave her the last check. I remember Sister Merelda said that firefighter was so good and so gentle to my mother. That hasn't changed in all these years. They are still so good and so gentle, and they still cry.
Wow. That's amazing.
Go find that name next time you're there, William Aiello. But every one of those bricks, every one of those names is a story like that.
I'm going to look. I'm going to go down there.
She's dead. You can't have her on your program.
Not available. Not available for overtime. We were just talking about the matrons. I don't know who we were talking about that with. Right, Ruff?
Yeah, they were still around.
Yeah.
My first firehouse, the 6 engine, had Mrs. Margaret Quinn. She
she must have been. They were widows, right?
Tommy
usually?
Martin.
Yeah.
Chief Martin, Coops.
Chief Martin was. Yeah. He was.
He said a lot of times, being that they would have, they would have so many, I guess, women, during the war type of situation that they would pay them, or the job. I guess if at that time, I don't know if the job was paying them or they, like you were saying, they would pay them. And they wouldn't even have to show up a lot of times. Like
that's what happened with John. John had a firehouse like that. They just sent the woman the check. They get old. I mean, my God, I don't even want to change one bed. It's like, can you imagine?
But that's what I'm saying. The guys still. I mean, that's the tradition.
That's right here, man.
That's me, man.
I used to threaten out of 5 members. I'd say, "You're damn lucky they don't have matrons anymore," because I'd be here every day.
What are you saying, Chief?
Mrs. Quinn, the matron from 46 engine and 27 truck, insisted on coming in as long as she could physically do it. And then it would, she'd come only periodically with her daughter. But they insisted on coming in because I was in charge of that with the commissary, and we just sent her a check.
Yep.
You got to give those ladies. When I became aware, they really. I mean, we never knew how many there would eventually be, sadly. But Louise O'Connor, she's a wonder. She has held the group. She's still doing the Christmas parties, but in the early days, there'd be like maybe a dozen of us would show up out at the training grounds on, where you go over the
Santos Island.
The Rock.
Yeah, the Rock. And, they'd have some food and Louise would always wrap an ornament or some little gift. And it was just to be together. But those women in the 70s went up to Albany and they fought for pensions for you guys. It was as noble a cause as they come. I believe the unions helped them, but those original ones died off. But they'd always have until recently, they'd have a luncheon in the hotel across the street from the Madison Square Garden, and they basically, if your husband died in the 70s, your pension's not big, and it's so easy to forget that. And I bet some people don't even know it, but they would each year go to Albany and ask for the 3% COLA increase, and they would be so glad to get it. But if you're increasing a small amount of money, it's
$100, 3%, right? It's peanuts.
Yeah,
peanuts.
yeah. So I think it's important to remember those women that gave your families security, so that when a tragedy like 9/11 happened, it's not like they're out on the street or they lose their houses. I mean, there's a lot of good charities now that make sure that doesn't happen, but it wasn't always so, So
Took two ladies to do it. Good for you, ladies. Right?
Yeah.
That was a good story, Vina.
Thank you. Appreciate you sharing that with us.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Whoa!
Look at that.
Look at that. Look at that.
Make
You
sure
want
we
her
share
cleaning your sheets in the firehouse? No way.
Yeah.
Watch out. I miss nagging.
I wanted to share that one, and I wanted to touch it. This was one of my.
Yeah, I was going to use that one as the thumbnail, actually, but
this is. I just wanted to. This is a good picture, and we'll make sure we didn't miss it. So that's all right, guys. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you again, Vina.
You're welcome. My pleasure, really. I didn't
Love
have
the
to
stories.
study so much. But
No, you did. We should have told you that from the get-go. This is very, very laid back kind of a thing.
it is. Yeah.
Gons, we do have a shout out, right? We do have a line of duty. Unfortunately, the gentleman that we had on
a month ago,
right? Who had cancer, and one of the things he wanted to do was get on this show.
Yep. Ronnie James. I don't know what I know you're going to ring the bells for him, right? Wichita Falls, correct?
Wichita Falls, yes. The Rev, actually is a friend of the Rev, who's in the show all the time, and he called me about this guy, and we had to have him on the show. So I'm going to give him the 5 bells tonight. Rest in peace. We wanted to get him on. We told him what, for his birthday, we're going to have him on.
Yeah, next month.
It didn't make it. Rest in peace, brother.
All right, rest in
meet
peace,
again,
brother.
Yes.
We got it from here.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. We appreciate you coming on.
Steve, thank you, too.
As always, tell that wonderful Judy we love her.
You lucky fella.
I still check my mail every day. I'm waiting for the dinner invite. I check my mail. Is it there? Nope.
Speaking of invites, we got Vina on the list for next year's boat.
All right, you get up to go on the boat ride now, Vina.
You got to come out. Yeah,
we have a
boat too.
We have a fire boat, an old fire.
I that's wonderful.
And we go around the Statue of Liberty. It's fun. Oh. Good time. So we have all the past guests, but some guys get invited every year, like Jay Jonas.
I'll write a speech for you if you give me a ride on the fire boat.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Love it.
For sure.
Awesome. It's a date.
Yeah.
All right.
You're
all
fun.
right, guys.
You're fun.
So
I forgot about you guys. Firefighters are fun. Thank you. Thank you very much. I can't believe I'm worried about being with you.
No,
don't worry about it. We're here every Thursday night. Just join us anytime.
Like a Sunday morning.
Oh, okay. If I can figure it out. I
we'll
think I want to say hello to my.
We'll get you up to speed.
I don't know how many of my relatives are out there, but I know my nephew Tom watches you every week, and I guess Joe.
All right, shout out to Tom.
Yes, for sure.
And anybody else who loves Vina like we do now.
Joseph was in. He said Joseph was in the chat, not Joe before.
Is Joseph now? Okay, probably.
Yeah,
okay,
Joseph
whatever.
now.
I'm getting a lot of messages too. Tell Vina I said I love her. Tell Vina Dave Williams.
A lot of good comments in the chat too.
Stuff.
They love your spirit, your drive, your strength. All good stuff.
Well,
all right, who do we got next week, Ruffy?
These are good questions.
I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to stay up this late. So late tonight, but I did.
That's my bedtime too.
Like my son is saying,
Boca,
well, maybe you should have that can of root beer in the
Mhm.
I said, then
A
I'll
lot-
not
a
sleep
lot-
all night. And then I'll have
It's
to go to
funny,
the bathroom.
A lot of the guests, when I call the guys to be guests on the show, they're like, "What?" They're like, "What time does the show start?" I said, "Oh, it's 8 to 10." He's like, 10. What are you talking about? I said, maybe we got to.
I'm usually in bed.
scooch it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
What do we got,
Wait a
guys?
minute.
Detroit burn documentary.
Oh, we got the guys who wrote the Burn documentary from Detroit coming up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you have a health and safety tip, by the way?
Oh, I can get one
Okay.
from Vina's friend.
Yeah, sure. Stand by one. Don't go
Yeah.
anywhere. Stand by.
Thank you, Johns. Good job.
Hold on.
The First Responders Center for Excellence is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to protecting the lives and livelihoods of first responders. Their education and research initiatives aim to bring greater awareness and understanding the challenges to the health, safety, and well-being of firefighters, EMS personnel, and other first responders too. They are an affiliate of the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation.
Yes, and tonight's
Oh, thank
old
you.
school health and safety is regularly clean. Your bunker boots, especially the bottom of your boots. This minimizes the spread of the fire ground and other contaminants while reducing your risk of occupational illness. Don't wear your bunker boots in the kitchen or upstairs. That's the bottom line. And
Oh,
that's all I
won't.
got.
I didn't know that.
All right. All right, guys.
Great.
Thanks again for coming on, and we'll see you next week. As
Thank you.
always,
Thank you.
stay low and go.
We'll see you at the big one, everybody. Thank you, Vina. Thank you, Chief.
Thanks for
Always
making
a
it
pleasure.
easy. Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah, don't you go nowhere. You stay right put.
Oh,
We
me?
got 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. We
Oh,
got to close
okay.
this show out. Don't you go nowhere. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great night. Remember, stay salty, and we're rolling heavy in South Florida. So have a good night, everyone.